Sanibonani. Ngicela ukuxolisela lokuthi ngivela nje ngibuya emsebentini. Mangenca la ngiva this beautiful noise. Bengiyodropa khiyata semsebentini honestly. Sengithi hayi man. Asengence ngala. Angathi noma ngisakhona yini but masikwenda katseni besivame ukuthi in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Then God said, let's make man in our own image, in our own likeness, solely for the purposes of worshiping Him. Him who was, is, and is still to come, ancient of days, perfectly ruling, Prince of Peace, is my comforter, my healer, my provider. The very same one who ensured that I'm born in Africa. But honestly speaking, I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African. I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African soul. So here I am, like a confused child. I mean, I'm a child of an African. My African family still lives under the worst of all poverty levels, whilst the rest of the family in the whole wide world is concerned about weight loss, fitting in Uktoba Asia. But honestly speaking, I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African soul. I am the brother of an African seed. See, I am of a nation whose creation did away with discrimination to other nations. I am of a nation who chooses respect out of everything, but I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African soul. See, from where I come from, there are no brothers and sisters, just confused brothers and sisters. We chase on our academic dreams, but they chase on a colorless rainbow, hoping to find a pot of gold, when at the end of it all, there is no pot of gold, only a pot of steam. Dreams in my area are illegal. The only qualification in my area allowed is that of smoking and flying into graduating on green leaves. The thing is, I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African soul. I am of a nation who knows not liberty but knows the blood that gushes deep from Rustenburg Marikana mines. We cry about human rights, but they find more reasons to silence us with live ammunition. Thing is, I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African. So here I am, just like a confused child, moving back and forth as though I have no direction, straight from Gambia to Zambia, Algeria to Nigeria, Cape to Cairo, but still differently dispersed as my African brothers and sisters are. Our cries in one language. Can there be freedom in our lifetime? Because I never chose to be an African, but God saw it fitting that I be given birth to on the very soil that is watered not by water but by blood that streams in pain out of an African. It's amazing how in this very African space bahle man labantu njengalo ngimbonile the other day, and yabo bengifuna lokumkhulumisa, and beka wasedolobheni kwakulula ukuthi athi uyangikhipha ngathi ukuthi ungikhiphe enhluphekweni ngifake enhlitweni yakhe ngase sengithi lalela sithandwa sami kuphila kwami ngisho wena lengikuthanda ngalendlela ukuthi sowugucuka oba ingilozi ngemadvolo ngigucile ngemehlo ngikubukile etandleni ngiphethe tigite enhlitiyo yami neyakho. Did I make mention of the fact that your presence and your essence kept me awake for hours? I daydreamt of stars and owning property on Mars. The thing about her is she stands in a cloud, yet the only one I could see, and her dreams made me hate waking up, because if she was a mineral, she'd be priceless. With 1 billion carats, she's in a league of her own. She has the shine with a smile. She looks so fine from the top of her head to the sole of her feet. She depicts an African queen with a blackly glittering crown, complemented by her smooth velvety coated skin, partly kissed by the sun, dripping wet with beauty. She, with an African accent, impregnated my eardrums as she massages and caresses my earlobe. Thing is, ngambone dolobheni kwakushisa, but she put me in a state and I froze. For tightly held, I was in a state where I could not exactly express adequately. Tightly held by particles of fear, I froze the first time I laid my teary eyes on her pure beauty covered almost silky skin in pictures. I asked my eyes to correctly capture this image of sketches of an architect drawn by canvas only known to the heavens. I desperately pushed my limits beyond the boundaries of my comfort zone in trying to find the comfort of passing this greeting to this goddess. My body is now compelled in, and she had put me in 10 conditions, and I mean, let's do this. 10. I will turn my back 9 times before starting over again at 9 plus 1 just to make a 10. 9. As my heartbeat moves 3 times 3 per minute, I still had an option of bringing it down, so 8. It's at this point that I ate my heart out as she smiled twice the 4th time. 7. Like the wonders of the world, her whole being complete, it really felt like a certain level of heaven just to see her. 6. I was so close but so far away from being free, from being frozen, but again I froze. 5. I was halfway through the thaw phase, but she had frozen a better part of my inside. I mean, for 4 hours I froze. 3. I had at least 3 strikes to confess 3 times to her that I too had a thing to say to her. I was once beaten, and twice as much I still had an option of bringing it down. So one more time I will exhale and confess that the I is without original image but captures collages into a picture. For in the image of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, you were formed, a spirit out of the ribcage. You were formed from dust, a spitting image of beauty. You are a seed of an incorruptible root. You are a woman, a dynamite, a shiro, a foundation of the order of the human race. You are woman. Engani usigodlo sekunotha nenfokoto lejulile umamatheka ngebuso kuthinzeke yami inhlitiyo imbelake wagana emazulu ngemadvolo ngoba tonke timo tikhothama kuwe ngoba ubukhosi lobufihliwe emhlabeni. You are woman. Bafundisi baye bathi sengigcina. Before I go, can I just thank the people who are organizing these events? I think this is the 4th time I've seen this. Every time passing by on a Sunday in BM17, I see this, and it's really amazing. It's revitalizing the art space that we love so much, which makes it easier for me to say, like kids of a polygamist, we stand together as one, a family of different surnames headed by one Father, the Father of all nations, the Almighty Father. So over the years, we have built bonds that bind us to being the best of our bodies, but before that, we might have stood as bitter rivals who sought best to solve our differences and dance to the sound of the beat. And like a dream which never comes true, this might have started as a dream, but we are now living in that dream which dreamers only wish to live in it. So brothers and sisters, we have become, this is a journey that requires the skill, or maybe should I say the experience of a tour guide, where all of us have to prove to the rest of the world the tactics that will technically turn the tide against a tribe of trials, tribulations, temptations, and tests. Perseverance, vigor, and strength, all based on prayer, will determine our altitude, but we should be careful of attitude as it might attribute ignorance. In whatever journey or circumstance we are faced with, let us always remember that failure is success delayed, that when it comes during dawn, it delights the living daily at all of us. Have a good night. Thank you.